If you want to relieve uncomfortable tightness or stiffness in your lower back, there's a better way than stretching. In this video, we're going to guide you through 2 exercises to strengthen your glutes and your hip flexors in a way that helps you to remove anterior pelvic tilt, to put your posture, put your hips in a neutral position that relieves lower back stiffness and also strengthens your hips at the same time. This is a clip I selected from the Sears workshop series that I created for the Manful Yoga app and members area. This is in the app and members area, but it's so good that I wanted to share this clip with you. So I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoy it. And to get the full series, check out the Manful Yoga app and members area. Link in the description below.
Start with a block in between your body and your thigh and find a height for the block where you can squeeze the block with your thigh. Integrate the work that we were doing in the spine and core workshop here immediately. So start with a lateral breath and press your lower back into the floor. Okay, now before you start crushing the block completely, ever so slightly without losing your low belly engagement, press your sitting bone down into the ground. So it's like a very slight untuck of the pelvis, and that should make you feel like you have more activation in the hip flexor. You get that action? Yeah.
So
right?
It should just feel like I'm cramping.
It should just feel like you're cramping and that you don't like this very much. Okay, so now remember that when we do this mobility work, you only want to go as deep as you can sustain the integrity of the structure of the original position. So while squeezing the block with the hip flexor, now try to extend and straighten your right leg, or whichever leg is touching the block, without losing the pressure on the block. If you start to lose the pressure on the block, just don't straighten your leg anymore. Hold there for 10 counts. This is great because I just get to talk while Dean suffers. Yeah, it is. I'm not payback for what? You haven't really done anything to me bad. That you've tortured. Sorry, guys. Sorry, not sorry. Shit's good for you. Again, bend your knee, squeeze into the block. Bend. Yep, let it bend all the way. Good. And then maybe you can squeeze a little more. Right? So each time we try to find a little more range and then extend the leg back up. Now, remember, it's not about straightening your leg. It's about maintaining the activation of the hip flexors. So you can see Dean is shaking, trembling. He's working pretty hard. He didn't hold that one quite long enough, so we'll make sure he holds for 10 on the next round. Yep, so hold for 10. Keep squeezing the block. You could use a tennis ball here or a rolled up blanket, a cat, small child, whatever you have available. Good, and then bend your knee without losing the squeeze on the block. Right, and you're done. We're going to go right to the other side. So we established some good vocabulary in the first workshop. I want you to maintain the integrity of the lateral breathing and back pressing into the ground. But something that's important here is it's not an over tuck of the pelvis. So show them if you really over tucked your pelvis, right? So it's like almost lifting up into a bridge pose. We don't want that. We want the low back pressing into the floor, but from the abdominals so that he's getting a little bit of anterior tilt of the pelvis. In other words, like backwards tilt of the pelvis, just slight. Okay, so squeeze the block, bend your knee. Nice. So by pressing his knee into the block, it's inevitable that his hip flexor will engage. This is where these props and tools are really good to reference yourself in space. 10-second hold there, and now extend. Good. I'm actually going to use the clock for this one to make sure we're doing an honest minute of
time is a construct.
Squeezes in both directions. You really want time to be a construct when you're squeezing a block with your hip flexor? I didn't think so. All right, now bend your knee again. This is round 2. So if you feel like you own more range, you can move the block higher up to challenge yourself a little bit more. And this hip, the hip that's working, should not hike up, right? This butt bone is still moving out and down to its own side. Try to straighten your leg. Again, only extend your leg as much as you can maintain good contact between the block and your thigh. Yep, he's doing a lot of work. There's as much work in the abdominals as there is in the hip flexors, but that's to keep the low back flat on the floor because, again, we're trying to isolate the hip flexor. Bend your knee. You just got one more round. So 10-second squeeze. How hard do you squeeze? I would say about, on the bent knee part, about 60% effort, and then when you extend the leg, you might ramp up for this last 10 seconds to around 90% effort. Again, low back doesn't lift. He's doing a really good job of keeping his core stable and keeping the block captured. Okay, and then bring your foot back down. So that's to strengthen the hip flexor in that direction, which is really important to help your back and improve your forward bending. Now we're going to move on to a drill to activate glutes before we step into lunge type of work that will give you space in the front of your hips. So we're going to start with the working leg being his right leg. So flex your foot just like that, right? And now depending on your level of flexibility, you might extend the other leg all the way on the floor. That's only if you can keep your back flat into the floor in this position. If it's impossible for you to keep your back flat into the floor in this position, this leg can bend a little bit. The focus is this leg. Take your right hand, this is his right leg, and put it on your butt. It's like right on your butt. Okay, now, without letting your knee stick out to the side, drive your heel down into the ground until you feel your glutes engage, right? There's a very simple utilization of the contact of the floor to find the engagement of the glute. By pressing down through your heel, tuck your tailbone and press your low belly down. And what you'll also feel is, in addition to the engagement of the glutes, you'll feel like a little space feeling right in the front of your hip flexor by pressing down. You feel that? It's like a little bit of a pulling apart in the front of your
There
head.
it is.
Yeah, so you could probably see how his pelvis just kind of shifted, right? So we're using the glutes to extend the hips and getting in touch with that activation so that we can use it in more demanding scenarios later on. So we got about another 15 to 20 seconds on the clock here. Your butt is in your own hand, so you should feel when it's working, and then keep using lateral breath to press your belly into the floor while driving through your heel. It's the combinations of those things. It's not so much a backwards pull with the heel, it's more straight down so that the pelvis shifts. All right, let's switch sides. How'd that go?
It was going.
It was going, right? Okay. Excellent.
Something was happening.
So we're gonna put that into a lunge context soon. So flex this foot. Good. And some of you guys might need to bend this knee. That's totally fine. Again, we're focused on this leg.
So if we have to bend the knee,
It's just relaxed. That leg doesn't have to do much.
Okay.
You don't want it like it's active enough that it's not like flopping out to the side, but it's not the focus of the drill. Okay? So then notice he's got his left hand on his own butt so he can feel when it turns on, when it's not turned on. And then for 1 minute, we're working on activation of all the muscles of the posterior chain that create hip extension. So watch as Dean shifts his pelvis into a more posterior position by pressing through the heel. You see that? How he pulled his belly down and his pelvis kind of scooped this way? So that'll create space in the front of the hip, and then ultimately when we move to a lunge dynamic, he'll be able to use his butt to open up space in his hips. Again, lateral breathing, right? So you can see that like there's no gap between his low back and the floor. He's using his abdominals to continuously press his low back down, which is really important. The reason why it's important is because we're trying to isolate the work in the hip and we don't want the lower back to compensate. So you got about 10 more seconds to go. You can ramp up. It's not lifting your hips. You're not doing a bridge. By pressing down through the heel and engaging the glute, the pelvis slides this way and creates space for the lower back. Okay. You're done, bud. Okay. Nicely done.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a comment if you have some question or feedback, and then subscribe. We put out new videos every Tuesday. I put some links below in the description with more info on Ben Sears. And if you want to get access to that full workshop series that we created, there's 3 of them. Each of them are about 60 minutes long. You can sign up for the Manful Yoga app and members area with a free 7-day trial. Link for that is in the description below as well. If you want to check out one of the other clips that we've released here for free on YouTube with the Ben Sears workshop series, check it out over here. Click right here, and this will do the one on core and spine. All right, guys. See you in the next video.